Alright, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of TEW. We're here on Fuel number 152. We've got Ignition as well this episode, and GCW Aftermath, the first pay-per-view in 1998, and the first pay-per-view following the brand split. So let's get into Fuel. On the pre-show, Disco Inferno gets a victory over Tony Atlas. Tony wanted a one-off appearance. I signed him for one deal and made him job to Disco, and he was not happy about that, but you know what? Screw you, Tony Atlas. 37. Then we got a 5-on-5 match. D'Lo, Al Snow, Dudley Boys, and Van Hammer defeat Houston Heat of Mark Henry and Stevie Ray, Chavo Guerrero, and the Texas Ravagers. And then the commentators open the show. They're talking about what we're going to see tonight. In our main event, Mankind faces Booker T in the World Heavyweight Championship Tournament. It's a first-round match. Also tonight, Triple H and Rey Mysterio face off, also part of that tournament, which means there's only going to be one more first-round match, which is going to be Sting versus Shawn Michaels. That's happening next week on Fuel. But that's it for tonight as we're getting ready, the go-home show Fuel for Aftermath. We open the show with The Rock cutting a promo victorious last week, advancing in the World Heavyweight Championship Tournament, defeating Dean Malenko. So he cuts a promo tonight, and Booker T comes out to interrupt The Rock. And Booker T talks about wanting to be World Heavyweight Champion. He's going to get the victory tonight, but then Mankind comes out. Mankind and Booker T, of course, facing off tonight in our main event with the World Heavyweight Championship Tournament. 96 to open the show, pretty good opener. Cruiserweight action is up next. Juventud Guerrera gets a victory over Hector Garza, and Juvi gets the win with a Juvi driver. A great match right here, showing off Juventud's athleticism, and a big win for Guerrera. Rey Mysterio is backstage, the Cruiserweight champion, and the real Luchador interrupts him, or just confronts him, and he wants a match against Rey Mysterio at Aftermath to prove that he is the real Luchador in GCW. And in the world, for that matter. And Rey, of course, says, no, you're not a luchador. You're just a big guy in a mask. You can't even do a flip. So, Rey refuses to face the real luchador on pay-per-view. A 40. The Texas Whippers cut a promo, and out comes Diamond Dallas Page. There's some back and forth exchanges here, and we finalize with DDP facing Adrian Adonis at Aftermath. So Adonis, DDP will happen on pay-per-view. A 48. Goldberg gets a win over Kaz Hayashi next, hits him with the jackhammer, and in 2 minutes, Goldberg gets the win. Backstage, Mean Gene Okerlund interviews The Rock over who he'll be facing next in the tournament, either Triple H or Rey Mysterio. That match is happening not next, but soon, later tonight. Triple H and Rey Mysterio both are fantastic challenges for The Rock. The Rock talks about Mysterio being a cruiserweight, but still having the ability to perform with the heavyweights. And Triple H, of course, being the first draft pick for Fuel, would make a tremendous opponent for The Rock. An 88 right here. Dean Malenko cuts a promo with Teddy Long, his manager, and he talks about being upset at losing last week to The Rock in the first round of the World Heavyweight Championship Tournament. Dean Malenko is pretty furious over the loss, and out comes Eddie Guerrero to, make fun of Dean Malenko and his losing ways. And is that a match that will happen on pay-per-view? It is. Eddie Guerrero versus Dean Malenko will happen at Aftermath. So 62. Gene Okerlund interviews the APA backstage. They're talking about Bubba Ray and Devon, the Dudley Boys challenging them last week. So a 64. Triple H and Rey Mysterio happens next. Triple H manages to get the win, hitting Rey Mysterio with the pedigree to get the victory after a real luchador ran in and attacked Mysterio. This is going to lead to Mysterio versus Luchador at Aftermath. Rey is going to be more than willing to face him after being cost the World Heavyweight Championship in the tournament. Triple H advances and will face The Rock on Fuel next week, I believe. No, not next week. The week after. All right. And Gene Okerlund interviews Triple H and Shawn Michaels afterwards. Shawn and Triple H will be facing Justin Credible and Lance Storm on pay-per-view on Aftermath for the GCW Tag Team Championship. An 81 right here for this segment. Owen Hart comes out, cuts a promo, and Chris Jericho comes out. And it's official, we're going to have an Intercontinental Championship rematch. Jericho versus Owen Hart from Revolution. The rematch will take place at Aftermath this Sunday. A 71 right here for Owen and Jericho. So Gene Okerlund interviews the number one contender to the GCW Tag Team Championships. Justin Credible and Lance Storm, the Impact players, backstage. They're facing Shawn Michaels and Triple H this Sunday for the tag titles. A 48 right here. And then our main event, Mankind and Booker T. Mankind gets the win over Booker T, hits him, or locks him into the submission, the Mandible Claw. Booker T unsuccessful in advancing in the tournament, and Mankind does so. Mankind will face either Sting or Shawn Michaels, who will be victorious in the first round. Sting or Shawn Michaels, we'll see. They're facing Mankind, so. Unfortunately for Booker T, his time is not yet. He will get his world title push in due time. It's still only 1998. Booker T, not quite there yet for me. Still only pulling 73, so 83 right there. And that's the end of Fuel. We get an 89, carried by Angles, and Triple H and Rey Mysterio really was a good match. But The Rock's interviews pretty much carried the show. Alright, we'll be right back in just one moment with Ignition. Alright, we're on Ignition number 20. We're starting off with Shane Douglas cutting a promo, and out comes Dustin Rhodes. Douglas, of course, facing Austin on pay-per-view. Dustin wants to be the number one contender to the world title. So tonight we're going to see Dustin Rhodes versus Shane Douglas. And I'm going to put up the graphics for the matches tonight. So, of course, Dustin versus Shane Douglas is our main event. Winner faces Steve Austin on pay-per-view. As well tonight, one half of the tag team champions, Kane, will be facing a member of D-Generation X in X-Pac. So, pretty good right here. Let's get into the actual show. So up next, singles match, Edge takes on Ahmed Johnson, and Edge gets a win in 6:08 with the leaping DDT. This was a car crash match, and unfortunately both these guys are pre-show workers in the eyes of the fans, but Edge will become over enough in due time. Afterwards, the Brood pours blood on Ahmed Johnson and Steve Blackman, and we move on to the next parts of the show. We're backstage with Too Cool, Rikishi, Grandmaster Sexay, and Scotty 2 Hotty. They're being interviewed by Michael Cole. They will be facing the Brood, Edge, Christian, and Gangrel in a 3-on-3 match at Aftermath on pay-per-view. This gets a 51. We move on to a Satoshi Kojima, Taz, Perry Saturn, Canyon confrontation in the ring, and Chris Benoit comes out as well. Kojima, Saturn, Taz, and Canyon will be facing off in a fatal 4-way at Aftermath, with the winner receiving a United States Championship opportunity at Chris Benoit. 73 right here. We then get a promo video for the soon-to-debut Val Venus coming to Ignition. 31, fantastic match right here. Kane and X-Pac have a good match right here. Kane gets the win in 14-15 with the Tombstone Piledriver. There was interference from Billy Gunn, Road Dogg, and Chyna to make sure that X-Pac was not completely outclassed by Kane. It's the only way that we make it somewhat believable is if the Outlaws and Chyna constantly interfere. 84 right here. Afterwards, we get a bit of a brawl between the New Age Outlaws, Kane, and The Undertaker. These two teams are facing off on pay-per-view for the GCW World Tag Team Championships. And this gets an 81. Brian Pillman cuts a promo, and out comes Buff Bagwell. J.J. Dillon comes out, the commissioner of Ignition, and announces that Pillman and Bagwell will be facing off on pay-per-view in a singles match. 63. Gonna wait on that. Ken Shamrock gets a win over Fit Finlay. Next, gets him with the ankle lock, and Shamrock is victorious. On Ignition, afterwards, the Big Show comes out and beats down Ken Shamrock. Big Show and Shamrock will be facing off at Aftermath as well. gets a 70. And then we got our main event, Shane Douglas and Dustin Rhodes, which unfortunately doesn't do that well. Douglas beats Dustin using underhand tactics, cheating, and then rolling up Dustin Rhodes. And Shane Douglas celebrates. Then Steve Austin comes out, hits the stunner on Shane Douglas. Douglas and Austin on pay-per-view. An 82. We'll take it. Main event was kind of shit. But, could be worse. Alright. And now we are done with the TV programs. We're now moving to Aftermath. We'll be there in just one moment with the match card graphics. Let's cut to them right now for the pay-per-view. We're officially here. GCW Aftermath 1998. We open the show with commentary Jim Ross, Kenta Kobashi, and Mauro Ranallo. They run down the card for tonight. First, opening the show, we've got Chris Jericho challenging Owen Hart for the GCW Intercontinental Championship. Following that, we've got Rey Mysterio facing off against the real Luchador. Rey wants to prove that the real Luchador is none but a fat loser wearing a cheap mask who thinks he's a real Luchador. After that, we've got 3-on-3 action in Gangrel, Edge, and Christian of the Brood facing Rikishi, Grandmaster Sexay, and Scotty 2 Hottie of Too Cool. 3-on-3 action. After that, Buff Bagwell, Brian Pillman. This came about after Buff Bagwell made his return to Ignition. Started off the show with Buff TV, with Brian Pillman being his first guest. Ended with Bagwell slapping Pillman across the face, which resulted in this match being booked by GCW Ignition's commissioner, James J. Dillon. GCW Tag Team Championships are on the line. Triple H and Shawn Michaels defend the titles that they were handed by Jesse Ventura against the Impact players, Justin Credible and Lance Storm, who took umbrage to the fact that they were just handed the belts by Jesse Ventura, believing that Storm and Credible should be the real champions. Diamond Dallas Page faces off against the member of the Texas Whippers in Adrian Adonis. This should be a pretty decent matchup right here. Of course, DDP has been having some problems with the Texas Whippers over on Fuel, and tonight he looks to solve it by defeating Adrian Adonis. We've got Fatal 4-Way action up next. Satoshi Kojima, Taz, Kanyon, and Perry Saturn face off in a number 1 contenders match for the United States Championship. The winner will face Chris Benoit at a later date for the title. After that, Blood Feud comes to an end. Big Show versus Ken Shamrock. The Show Rock implodes here tonight at Aftermath. Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero face off next. This should be a pretty good match right here. Dean Malenko was upset by the fact that he could not get the job done and defeat The Rock in the first round of the World Heavyweight Championship Tournament, and Eddie Guerrero mocked him for losing to The Rock. After that, the World Tag Team Championships are on the line. The New Age Outlaws, Billy Gunn and Road Dogg, look to claim their 6th tag team title as a unit, as they're taking on The Undertaker and Kane. And in our main event, Steve Austin faces off against Shane Douglas, former Revolution main eventer for both of these guys. Douglas defeated Dustin Rhodes to get the opportunity, and tonight, will he become a 2-time world champion? We'll find out tonight at Aftermath. So we open the show with the Intercontinental Championship match, Owen Hart and Chris Jericho, and Owen Hart manages to retain the title, locking him in the sharpshooter. This was a spectacle-rated match, and it did pretty good. Got an 87, so we're happy with that. Afterwards, Owen Hart celebrates, but the video package plays, and this is what it says. It says, "The King of Hearts will meet his demise, nevermore." So Raven, we don't see him, but we can probably guess who it is. Let's get into our next matchup right now. Alright, up next, Rey Mysterio gets a win over the Real Luchador, and Real Luchador right back down to Rival Pro Wrestling you go. No, I'm kidding. He's going to stay on Fuel, but he will not be used that much. 73. Brood versus Too Cool. Too Cool gets the win when Rikishi pins Gangrel with the Rikishi driver. Got 57. 2 crazy matches in succession don't really work. Whatever. 57. And then we've got Too Cool dancing a little bit. The Brood beats them down. And the Hardys, Jeff and Matt, come out to make the save. And 48. Brian Pillman gets a win over Buff Bagwell after cheating to win. He didn't need to cheat. He just wanted to. Pretty sure he hits him with a low blow or something, and then hits him with air Pillman. I don't know. Something. But Pillman gets the win. Gets a 79 right here. Decent match. And we're moving on to Triple H, Shawn versus the Impact Players. And Triple H and Shawn retain the tag titles when Triple H pinned Just Incredible with the X mark. So that's the Sweet Chin music into the pedigree. A good match right here. A 79, and Shawn pulls out a 97 because he is the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Backstage, Mean Gene interviews The Rock, who doesn't have a match tonight, but he is having an interview on facing Triple H next in the World Heavyweight Championship tournament. And The Rock talks about how easily he'll beat Triple H on Fuel. It's not tomorrow night, but I think it's next week, so 90. DDP versus Adrian Adonis. DDP gets the win in 7:33 with the Diamond Cutter to get the win. 61. Got the Fatal 4-Way. Perry Saturn defeats Kojima, Taz, and Kanyon when Saturn pinned Taz with the Death Valley Driver, which means Perry Saturn is the new number one contender for Chris Benoit's United States Championship. Big Show gets a win over Ken Shamrock to end the feud with the chokeslam. 1, 2, 3. Big Show is your winner. Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko ends in disqualification when Dean Malenko intentionally got himself disqualified, hits a low blow right in front of the referee, goes outside, grabs the ring bell, and cracks Eddie Guerrero across the face with the ring bell. 86. Tag team matchup, the New Age Outlaws versus Kane and The Undertaker, and Kane and The Undertaker get the win when The Undertaker pins Road Dogg with the Tombstone. This gets a 98 for two very great tag teams here. A good win for Undertaker and Kane. In our main event, Steve Austin, Shane Douglas. Austin gets a win in a 99 rated match, hits the stunner after the referee was knocked out. Dustin Rhodes comes out, hits Douglas with the title. Douglas was about to win or something, I don't know. And Douglas then falls to a stunner when Charles Robinson runs out, counts the three count, and Austin retains the title. A 99 right here. To end Aftermath with a 95, we'll take it. Definitely Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, Kane. Alright, 8 million, not bad. Popularity goes up all over the states. We're officially now over 90 in every region of the states apart from Hawaii. Mexico goes up. England, we're trying. And Japan goes up. And we're not doing the media scrum. Well, that was it for this episode of GCW. Make sure to like if you like this video, subscribe if you want more. That was Aftermath. And in the next episode, we'll be running Fuel and Ignition. Fuel number 153, I think. Anyway, the January 19th Fuel, and we've got the January 20th airing 22nd episode of Ignition. So, have a good one. See you later. Goodbye.